Hey, and welcome back. It's the Marketer of the Day podcast. Shelly Lefkoe is here, and she has been helping people just like you free themselves of unwanted behavior and emotional patterns. We're talking about some of the nasty, tricky, sticky ones like imposter syndrome, procrastination, fear of public speaking, fear of conflict, wanting to start a business, can't control your anger or your emotions, and so much more. And we want to overcome that, right? We want to avoid that, live our best lives, be our best selves. And so Shelly is going to help us do that with a fun, action-packed conversation today. We're going to laugh, we're going to cry, we're going to have some emotional breakthroughs. So Shelly, how the heck are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. And so I introduced you a little bit, but in your own words, what just has you fired up, turned on, passionate, focused, excited? What are you doing?
So I basically say, I don't usually say this on podcasts, so this is good. Good start. I'm a results girl, right? So I want to spend my life enjoying my life. I want to play pickleball, which I do every day, dance, be with friends, travel, jump out of airplanes. I want to have a great life. And I think so many of us are stuck in certain areas of life, and we go down this rabbit hole of, years and years of therapy or spiritual work or, my mastermind groups. And 35 years ago, my late husband created a process that was based on something that nobody ever heard of back then, which is that your beliefs determine your behavior and your emotions. So anytime you feel stuck, and I'm excited about being on this podcast because I've worked with so many people who know that they have to do marketing for their businesses and they can't do it. They can't make videos. They can't get on social media. They feel stuck. They feel afraid, to step forward, to hire people, and to do what it takes to market their businesses. And underlying basically every pattern, every unwanted pattern, and a pattern is observable. So a pattern is something you want to change, and it's all the things you said at the beginning, right? I want to be able to make videos. I want to be able to feel comfortable on social media. I want to be able to talk about what I do at a party. I want to, get rid of my fear of public speaking. So that's a pattern. Beliefs are a statement about reality that we hold as the truth. That's what a belief is. It's not maybe, it's a belief. And most of our beliefs are unconscious. We don't even know that we have them, but they run our lives. And no matter what you learn, every client I have knows that mistakes and failures are important to your success. And yet, if you have the belief, as most people do, mistakes and failures are bad, that's going to keep you from marketing. It's going to keep you from having a lot of money. It's going to keep you from doing everything, because if you're afraid to make a mistake, you can't go for it in life, right? So what fires me up is we have a process that quickly and permanently eliminates, I use the word very carefully, eliminates beliefs so that the new behavior is just natural and easy. And there's nothing more satisfying to me than seeing people's lives change. It's my juice.
Wonderful. And that's a powerful motivator, right? It's one thing to like read up and work on yourself and change your own actions, but to help others and see the difference that it makes and see how other people are happier, more fulfilled, just better overall, then it's kind of cyclical, right? And that's a nice pattern to have. That's one of those good cycles. And I love this idea of eliminating, deleting the beliefs, because it makes me think that, well, all this blockage has happened, right? All this like clutter has kind of put itself in our own way. And I heard something just the other day about the idea that like your hesitation and everything, it's built in to make you safe, right? It's your human caveman brain, it's your subconscious, it's just to keep you out of danger. But in this modern world, we have to take risks. And so I heard something that blew my mind that was like, well, if you're not educated about this, then when the stress or the fear happens, then you back off. But then if you have this more of like an entrepreneurial mindset and you go do something new, you take a risk, you make that video, you contact that person, and the butterflies in the stomach happen, and you recognize it and you say, hey, that's just part of that's like step 2 of 8. That's just something that rears its ugly head, and I proceed anyway. Then you get some change and you get results. And that blew my mind. And I think that we've all had those moments, right? We've all had those moments of courage where we just plowed through anyway. So how do we go about identifying and solving this problem when someone comes to you and says, hey, some of the things you spoke to, like, it's 100% me. I want to change. I want to be better. Where am I going wrong? What should I do instead?
Yeah. So first of all, number one, I'm not a plow through girl. I am not a coping girl. Like, you go to good therapy, it teaches you how to cope with what happened to you in life. We get rid of the beliefs so it doesn't run you. There's no butterflies. There's nothing to cope with. And that's not to say that you're never hesitant or you're never nervous but for the most part, you're not. So one of the most common beliefs I work with, which was the belief that changed my life, is what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me. And again, this is a marketing audience. If you're worried about what other people think of you, I had a client who couldn't make videos, and she would make a video, and if a hair was out of place, she would do it over again. She was so focused on what people would think. And it was biggest breakthrough was when we got on Zoom, and she was in Norway, and she said to me in her cutest accent, I made a video today and there was a hair right in front of my face and I didn't do it over. I was like, yes. So when people come to me, they generally come to me with where they're stuck, right? With a pattern. And we have a process. And again, I'm also not a tips girl. I can I can teach you a tool that can get rid of any negative emotion in the moment so that you can plow through. But if you get rid of the beliefs, the negative emotion won't come up and you won't have to do that. But it's a tool to use, and I love having it on podcasts because I can't eliminate your beliefs on a podcast, but I could give you this tool at the end. So we come into this world. We don't know if we're good enough or not good enough. We don't know if life is hard or easy. We don't know if money is scarce and hard to get or it comes to us with great abundance. And the one word question that every child asks all day long, and I ask my clients in Uganda and Saudi Arabia this question, and they all have the answer. So everybody listening, what's the one word question every little kid asks all day long?
Why?
Why, right? Why am I getting criticized? Why can't I live up to my parents' expectations? Oh, I see. I'm not good enough. Why are my parents struggling with money? Why can't they pay the bills? Oh, I see. Money is scarce and hard to get. Life is hard. Why are my parents looking at their iPhone while I'm talking to them? Oh, I see. I'm not important. What I have to say is not important. So we conclude things based on what we see when we come here. Why our beliefs stay with us through 20 years of self-help and spiritual work is because we think we saw our belief in the world. So I have worked with 5 Harvard PhDs who had the belief I'm stupid. And when I said, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm stupid? And they know they're not, but they believe it. And that's what runs them. So one of them said, my father hit me on the head, slapped me on the back of the head, and called me genius every time I made a mistake. And I concluded I was stupid. And we go through a whole bunch of steps. And then we get to the step where I say, doesn't it seem like you saw I'm stupid? And they said, I did see that. Now, listen, everybody listens is really important. It is impossible to not believe something you think you saw. So if somebody said to you, Shelly has jet black hair. You'd say, no, she's a redhead. And they'd say, no, she's a redhead. I interviewed her yesterday and she's a redhead. So you saw that I have red hair, right? Now, if I pulled it off and you said, oh my God, it was a wig, she really has black hair, the belief that I'm a redhead would go away because you see evidence to the contrary. Now, evidence doesn't get rid of a belief once you have it, and I'll explain why in a minute. So I saw I was stupid. I failed every subject in school, or my father called me stupid. And again, this is kind of a bunch of steps before we get to this. But here's why our beliefs don't go away. You cannot see a belief. Anything you could see has a color, shape, and location. I'm not good enough doesn't. Life is hard doesn't. People can't be trusted doesn't. You can see your parents not keeping their word. You can see your father hitting you on the head and calling you genius, or even calling you stupid. You can see your parents struggle with money, but the belief is in your mind. That's made up. And a belief is like a box. And inside the belief, mistakes and failures are bad. Failing epically, like some of the people who write about this say, fail fabulous, fail big. You can't do that inside that box. So when the belief goes away, it's not that you have to rewire your brain. And we've done scientific research with our process. We've done 3 major research studies. So whether or not the brain gets rewired, yes, it blah, 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 that's irrelevant. What's relevant is the moment you get, I never saw Santa Claus. I made that up. It's gone and it never comes back.
So, I mean, I'm trying to follow along. This is all some amazing stuff. And so, how does that relate? So, I mean, so this whole belief thing, it's like the root cause, it's invisible, it's tricky. So, how does that relate to us overcoming the procrastination, the fear, the limiting beliefs? How does that get us somewhere now?
So, let's use fear of public speaking. And again, I'm afraid to say it because then I get a ton of fear of public speaking and it's boring. I used to do it as a niche because it's the only pattern that has the exact same beliefs underlying it for every person. Okay. So I'm going to answer your question. I have 2 friends. Okay. Tommy and Johnny. Tommy has the following beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not important. What I have to say is not important. People are not interested in what I have to say. I'm not capable. What makes me good enough is having other people think well of me. Okay, let's just start with those. Tommy has those beliefs. Johnny doesn't have those beliefs. Which one of them? So I'm going to say to you, I'll bet you every penny I have in the bank. I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you to make a bet with me. I want you to bet that you know which one of my 2 friends has a fear of public speaking. How much would you bet that you knew which one had a fear of public speaking?
$1,000.
You're the first person that ever said that in 30 years.
Cool.
Why wouldn't you bet every penny you have in the bank?
Ooh, I don't know. It just, I'm not sure why.
So most people say every penny I have in the bank because it's obvious that somebody who has the beliefs, nobody's interested in what I have to say, and what I have to say is not important, and mistakes and failures are bad, and if I make a mistake, I'll be rejected, and I'm not good enough. that is going to cause your fear of public speaking. Somebody who doesn't have those beliefs, why would they be afraid to talk to people? People are not afraid of public speaking. They're afraid to be judged. They're afraid somebody's not going to think well of them. That's what they're afraid of. Talking to people is, I once asked my daughter, who was raised very differently than most people, if, would you ever have a fear of public speaking? She said, what? I said, if there were, 1,000 people in the room, would you feel fear? And she said, well, would they have weapons? Like, why would I be afraid to talk to people? So the beliefs, once the beliefs go away, every week I say to my client, what's different and what's the same in the pattern we're working on? I'm afraid to speak up. What do you believe? Speaking up is dangerous. Why? Because when she was a kid, if she spoke her truth, she got slapped or punished or sent to her room or whatever. So she concluded speaking up is dangerous. If I speak up, I won't be loved. So once those beliefs go away and you don't believe that anymore, that is what's causing the patterns. I work with sexual abuse survivors. It's my favorite population because what happens to you has no impact on you whatsoever 5 minutes after it happens. What has an impact is what you conclude about what happened. You can't see I'm powerless or I'm damaged goods, right? And then I'm going to really blow your mind in a couple of minutes.
But this is an optimistic viewpoint, right? That if it's within us, it's internal, we can change it. It's just a matter of figuring out how to do that.
No, it's not an optimistic viewpoint. It's the
I mean,
truth.
I choose to say it's an optimistic viewpoint. You say this thing happened, but 5 minutes later, you're only stuck in this belief, this pattern, because it's within you because you're choosing to.
No, I will never say those words in this lifetime.
Okay, well then set me straight. Let's do it.
You do
Let's
not
go.
have a choice. I hate when people say, not you, but people always say, well, you choose to be, you choose to believe that. That's ridiculous. You believe, so you come into this world and you conclude things based on what you see when you get here. There is no the truth. Okay. So meaning is in your mind. Events don't have inherent meaning. There's
Okay.
no event that has meaning. We don't know anything for sure because anything happens. So the beliefs that you have determine the meaning that you give events, right? If something terrible happens to you and you go, geez, that was awful. I'm going to make sure that never happens again. And you don't give it meaning, your life's not going to be run by that thing. So for 35 years, you come to me with a problem, I will help you get rid of the beliefs and the problem will go away. That's not optimistic. That's the truth. I mean, again, that's not to say you can come to me and say, Shelly, I want to be an astronaut and I'm 50 years old. We're talking about something that makes sense, that's reasonable, right? You have a belief you can't fly, but I can't get into that because it's a whole nother conversation, which is not powerful. A powerful conversation is people want to change and they try so hard and they read books and they take motivational workshops. And that's how people try to change. And I say most people don't have success with information and motivation, evidenced by the fact when we ask people, what have you done to get rid of this problem? They usually say this and this and this and this and this and this. When you get rid of the beliefs, Robert, it's like pulling the roots out of the soil. The plant stops growing because it can't grow without the roots. So when you get rid of the beliefs, in a first session, people always go, like, oh my God, I've had that belief my entire life. It's gone. I'll give you an example. So I worked with somebody this morning, a man. And he had a pattern of feeling afraid to sing his praises. He's pretty accomplished. And he's afraid to disappoint people. And so we got down to, if I disappoint people, I won't be loved. And I asked him to say the words, I'm not worth loving. That is the only belief that is guaranteed to either, if someone has it, only if they have it, and they say the words, either they will cry or get teary, or they can't say it. They go like this. And I say, you don't have to say it. I just want you to remember how that felt like. Then we go through the process. They get rid of the belief. And I say, now say, I'm not worth loving. And every single time they go, I'm not worth loving. That's ridiculous. And it's not magic. It's not woo woo. It's not airy fairy. You know, I wrote a book called Vaughn Yepremian and I wrote a book called Hitting the Wall, Eliminating the Beliefs That Sabotage Your Business and Your Life. And we explain what the beliefs are that underlie all entrepreneur. He's an attorney and he works with entrepreneurs. And he said, they never listen to me. I tell them what to do. I tell them, if you do this, you'll be successful. And they don't do it. I said, my late husband had the exact same experience, which is why he created this process. And he heard me speak and he said, that's the missing piece. He worked with a woman who came up with this product. She was about to sell it. They were offering her millions of dollars. And she said, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't remember what her beliefs were, but people will screw you, or people can't be trusted, or you'll never get what you want. Whatever her beliefs were, once she got rid of those beliefs, she was able to do the deal.
Wonderful. And so it seems like we're kind of keeping it a secret, right? What the solution is to eliminating these beliefs. And I still want to keep you around for a few minutes, but we have a URL, right? There's eliminatebeliefs.com.
Yeah. Wait. You think it's a secret?
Well, we're not really like getting into techniques in a
Yeah,
limited
we
time
are.
podcast, are we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't do the process if we had not in a 20-minute I've done it in hour-long podcasts where I've taken people through the process, but I gave you the secret sauce. So the secret sauce, people aren't going to take what I say and go eliminate beliefs with it. It's a process. It's something, the doctor doesn't say, here, go do this and you'll get better. You gotta go to the doctor. But I
Sure.
am going to give you, your listeners, an opportunity to eliminate a belief for free so they can see what I do. But the secret sauce is the not seeing. That's the secret sauce. I
Okay.
saw that money was, I had a client, he kept saying, but I saw that money was scarce and hard to get. And I said, no, you didn't. He said, I said, okay, point to it. And he says, well, there's my parents. And we went bankrupt 3 times and we were almost homeless and we didn't have food to eat. And I say, yes, you can see all of that, but point to money is scarce and hard to get. And he finally went, oh, I made that up.
Okay, so is that the secret, that we have these beliefs that are holding us back and we can't see them, but we can see all the effects of it, but then you're challenging those beliefs and saying like, hey, you're talking about all the surrounding crap, but the source of it actually doesn't exist. I'm trying to understand what the
Okay. The
solution is.
source exists. The source of the belief exists. It happened. Your parents went bankrupt. They struggled with money. What a little kid asks is why? What does that mean that that's happening? And then they make something up. The problem is they don't think they're seeing their parents struggling, they actually think they're seeing that life is hard or money is scarce and hard to get. And they grow up thinking, I saw that, therefore it has to be true.
Okay. So if someone has one of these beliefs, are you saying you keep asking why, and you dig deep and you say,
No, you
where
go
did
and
this
do,
falsehood begin?
yes. I mean, I can't
Okay.
teach it. We have a training program that has 3 courses. So I can't teach you how to do it in 20 minutes, but I can tell you to go to a place where you will get the process and you can use that process to do it on your own. Just put in your, now the trick is you also have to know what beliefs cause what problems.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And we teach a course in how to do that, right? How to find your beliefs and how to know what beliefs are. We have a million beliefs. Some work for us, some don't. I have a belief everything works out for me. I'm very lucky. I have a great belief. I'm not changing that belief, but
Of course.
I had other beliefs that weren't serving me that I got rid of that now, I mean, when I got rid of the belief, what makes me good enough is having other people think well of me, I became my authentic self. I don't care who I'm talking to. This is me, right? I can speak in front of 600 people, Oprah, doesn't matter. This is me.
And see, I find that part really interesting because when I have like a guest on my show, I like to get like sort of personal when we can, right? And figure out, especially the before and after. So you mentioned things like this, like your own beliefs that you've changed. So like, how different were you decades ago when you were younger? Like, did you really struggle with something, overcome something? What has your transformation been like?
Oh my goodness. So the first thing was this belief, worrying about what other people think. So I had a mom who was an angel, but she only wanted me to be happy. So I had a belief if I'm not happy, people won't like me. So I walked around like I was always happy, always smiling. I would never tell people I was sad, or I would never tell myself I was sad. So when I got rid of that belief, I was able to say I'm having a bad moment or a bad day, or I'm sad, or so that was one thing. um I had uh uh oh, my dad used to say, you don't use your head, you just don't think. So I concluded I'm stupid, or I'm not. It wasn't I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, I think it was, because he used to say, you're an idiot. And so a lot of things came easily to me, but when something didn't, I staffed it out. I asked a friend to do it. My girlfriend used to make my kids Halloween costumes. I would always go to people and say, "Oh, can you help me with my computer?" Or "Can you do this for me or that for me?" And I have a friend who learned PowerPoint. And I said, "Letha, how'd you learn PowerPoint?" She said, "Oh, I got on and tried and failed until I learned it." I would never do that. I also had a mother who did too much for me. She was a very Jewish mother. And so and I concluded I'm not capable. So I didn't know I had that belief because a lot of things came easily to me. But when I started noticing, Robert, that when something was hard, I shied away. I didn't do it. And it kept me small. And when I got rid of the belief I'm not capable and I'm an idiot, boom, now I'll try anything. I will fail fabulously.
Very
Um,
cool. You've come so far.
Listen, when my husband died, I did not know the first thing about running a business. I thought I was going to starve to death. And I'm a people person. You put me in front of anybody and I will help them change their life, guaranteed. But run a business? Oh my God, shoot me in the head. So I had to do my work to look at what's in the way of doing that. I still don't love doing it. It's not what I want to do, but I've been doing it for 8 years and my business is thriving. So,
Very cool.
yeah.
And now that you mention it, like that's one of my favorite number one qualities in people, that someone who like doesn't give up and tries to figure out a solution, because it's one thing to have intelligence and to have skill, but if something becomes a little difficult, just giving up. And it's frustrating when like people depend on you or you depend on them, but then when the stress happens, when the going gets tough, now the flakiness kicks in, and it's no fun. It's frustrating, right? To feel like you can't depend on someone, and then you're like kind of switching, going through friends. And so I love that quality of figuring it out, of saying, hey, there's this thing that it's out of my comfort zone. I don't normally do this. I need to figure this out, but I'll figure out a solution. And so, when we right before we started, you said that we're gonna talk and talk and talk, but I still want to make sure that we leave people wanting more, and we don't go on too long. So, in the interest of packing a lot in, but also wrapping it up in a timely fashion, but also wanting people more, is there a specific question that is missing in our conversation? Is there something that you wished I had asked you about yourself, your process, your business, your breakthroughs that I'm not asking? And can we just pretend I asked it? And can you give me the answer?
Uh, just everything is solvable, and what you just said, I would have liked the question, why are some people resilient like that and some people are not? So we look at people like they're selfish or they're just victims or they're stuck, and we have disdain. And I will tell you something, no matter what anybody tells you, what I'm about to tell you is accurate. Underneath anger, or frustration is mild anger. Underneath anger is always powerlessness. Because if you could do something about it, you would just do it. We get angry, we get frustrated because we feel powerless. Okay?
Okay.
Beliefs. I'm powerless is a belief. If you believe that you're powerless, you're not going to be resilient. You're not going to be that person. So I want you to ask me that because I want people to have compassion and understand why people are like that. Underlying fear is always a real or imagined threat to your survival. If you feel threatened or fear, it's hard to move forward. So those are two areas where you can work very quickly and get rid of that and move forward. And I can tell you, if I know I sound lofty, there in 35 years, there's not a bad word on the internet about us, because we do what
Of
we
course.
say we're going to do. I want to leave you with one thing. I made a comment before that very offhandedly, and a lot of people are probably still reeling from it. Events. So if somebody walks into a room and doesn't say hello, what do you automatically think?
Maybe that they're rude.
Good. That's meaning. Everybody who did that. Some of you said they didn't see me, they noticed me, they're rude, they don't like me, I did something wrong. Where do all of those meanings come from?
From your mind.
Your mind. All meaning is in your mind. Okay. Meaning is what I know for sure. Events have no meaning. Meaning is in your mind. Okay. My husband died. That was devastating. We had a fabulous 35-year marriage. I was very, very sad. But when I didn't want to get out of bed, I said, what meaning, and this is the takeaway, what meaning am I giving his death? I'm going to starve to death. I don't know how to run a business. What else could it mean? Well, it could mean you're going to learn and step up. But the fact that he died doesn't mean anything. It doesn't tell us anything. We don't know anything. So it's not that it doesn't matter or it's not a big deal. So anytime you have a negative emotion, if you stop and ask yourself, what just happened? I made a video and nobody responded. What meaning did you give it? My product sucks. What else could it mean? Could mean you need to put the video out more, or you might have to tweak it. But the fact that no one came doesn't mean anything. Not that there may not be consequences, but we don't know anything for sure. Now I'm not in my head going, oh God, blah, blah, blah. I don't go down the rabbit hole. Now I say, okay, how can I get people to come? What can I do differently? So that's a way to just get rid of a negative emotion in the moment. But if you have beliefs, you'll keep doing it over, you'll keep giving the same meaning and having to dissolve it. So
Okay.
you can either buy, the book, Hitting the Wall, Eliminate the Beliefs That Sabotage Your Business and Your Life, or go to eliminatebeliefs.com and eliminate a belief for free and see what it's like.
Very cool, very enlightening, but also a little uncomfortable in a good way, and a lot of knowledge, a lot of things to soak in. And I gotta tell you, Shelly, probably maybe 5, 10 years ago, I went to a friend and I said, I'm angry about this. And he said, why are you angry? And I'm like, I never asked that question. So a lot of us stereotypical men, we don't think about these things. And when I first came across like that plotkin wheel of emotion, I was like, what? These are on a map, and this is across, and this is connected to that. Like, I had no idea. So we many of us need some of this education and reminders and practice just to get our head on straight, to have these better habits and responses, and we can get on the right track for that by going to eliminatebeliefs.com. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yep. And
And Hitting the Wall is the book.
yeah,
And as we're wrapping up our conversation, do you have any final thoughts here?
yes. Don't ask the question why. Why is a terrible question. Why can't I market my business? Well, maybe because I'm afraid of criticism. Maybe, and it's just, what is a better question? What am I feeling? What would make me do it? What's in the way? What is an answerable question? Why is meanings made up? So the first thing you have to start asking is, what might I believe that has me be stuck? Because then you're not a victim like, oh God, I'm never going to. There are always beliefs underneath, almost always. And if you get rid of those beliefs, then you could go educate yourself in habits and learning and all the stuff you said. That's not my work. My work is get the fundamental beliefs out of the way so that the learning that you do is utilizable.
So so that the way you put it into practice. So is it safe to say that this is about taking responsibility by instead saying, why is this happening to me? It's instead, why do I think this?
No, what
Oh,
do?
I'm going to say, instead of why is this happening to me? What am I thinking and what meaning am I putting? That's what I
Right.
should have said.
Yes.
Well, very cool. Well, this is we said, there's a lot to think about, and a podcast only gives us a taste, only gives us a conversation. So the next step is go to eliminatebeliefs.com. Shelly Lefkoe, this has been like 10 podcasts in one, and like I think we delivered on our promise, right? We laughed and we cried and we had some fun and we had some breakthroughs. So I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing some knowledge.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.